Hey everyone, Graham here with another White Coat Webisode. Excited to talk to you today about something that's really near and dear to me. I actually do have a finance background. I think a lot about budgeting. I think a lot about finance. A long time ago, I got my MBA, so I really am kind of steeped in this world in a way that maybe some other folks in marketing are not. Now, what I want to talk about is how to allocate a marketing budget. I don't want to talk about your overall budget, so I'm going to talk in terms of percents and in percents of your actual budget. But it's really important to allocate a marketing budget. Otherwise, you'll under or over market. You won't get your spend right, and you won't be able to correctly evaluate whether or not you're seeing any return on investment, which with a marketing budget is the single most important part. Like if you are investing in marketing and it is not paying you back, you are not investing in marketing correctly, and you need to do a review. So how do we actually allocate a budget? Well, first thing, what stage of your business are you in? If you are a late stage business, you are really, really well established, you may not need to allocate a whole lot of your budget to marketing. If you're early on in your practice, you're really in a growing phase, you're really trying to add a new location or expand rapidly, well, you need to allocate more of your budget to marketing. What do those actual numbers look like? Well, if you're an established firm, I would say you could go like 5 to 10% of your overall budget to marketing. Marketing's still important. If you aren't growing or at least sustaining, you're just going to slowly deteriorate in terms of the number of people you see. If you're earlier in the process or even in the middle, I would suggest more, all the way up to say like 25% of your budget, especially if you're early on and really in an aggressive growth phase. That's really kind of the range, somewhere between 5 and 25. I would say a good average is 10 to 15 for most businesses. Most practices really are going to fall in that range. Most of the doctors I talk to will be there. One thing to consider for physicians is that you guys do tend to do really well with referrals. It does make some sense to allocate a budget to referral marketing, going out and meeting with the people who are your good referral partners. I think that can be really, really, really useful. Overall, though, within, say, again, let's say within the 10% of your budget, you want to make sure that you have your core assets covered. You want to make sure you have a website. You want to make sure you have great signage at your actual office. Those physical things still really do matter. Once you have kind of your core assets, chop up and see how much you have left, and then start thinking, okay, for me, I'm an esthetician, so actually investing in social media makes a lot of sense. Or, for other doctors who are, maybe if you're an orthopedic surgeon, it makes a lot more sense to have just a Google ad on certain injuries. I think I broke my ankle. You might want to devote some resources there. No matter what, though, always have your bases covered. Your bases for me being having a website that looks really good, having a Google My Business that's updated and correct and is sending people to your office, and then possibly some sort of ad budget, but definitely something invested in SEO, whether you're taking the time to write that content yourself or you're paying somebody to do that for you. That is crucial with any online marketing we're doing, is making sure that you have great SEO. Otherwise, kind of shouting into the void, you have a website that nobody can see. That's not super helpful. That's not what we want. Other aspects to consider, great handouts are always awesome. Paying for listings in local magazines or local adverts can be really helpful. Some of that top doc stuff is something that you might set aside a budget for. I know how that works, but I do think it helps. But in general, think about what stage you're in. The earlier on you are in your growth process, the more you need to spend on marketing. That can shift as you get later into the process or later into your growth cycle. And then within that actual budget, within that 10 to 15%, think about who you are, think about where you are. Maybe you aren't in a great location, so online marketing is even more important, or you're doing telemedicine, so you really need to have a lot of online marketing. Or, maybe you're in the mall, and so people are walking into your doors all the time, and so having better signage is more important. This is kind of how we want to think about this, is like, what situation do I have? What situation am I in? Who are my patients? Who are the people that are going to come and see me? You've heard that before, and then act accordingly. This has been another webisode. Really excited. So happy to have y'all here with me. Find us on White Coat Web if you have any questions or if there's anything else we can do to help. We'd love to speak with you.